Hi, everybody. As you know, or you may not know, but I'm in Atlanta and I'm interviewing diasporans who do business in Ghana and also live here in America. And one of them is Henry. Henry has been here for many years. He has a story to tell. And today I'm going to talk to him about, why has he not permanently moved to Ghana, which I know that he was before, and why is he still here in Atlanta? Henry, how are you?
Good afternoon. I'm well, and yourself?
I'm good, thank you. So you're Ghanaian, fully Ghanaian,
Fully. Born
um,
and raised.
born and raised. When did you actually transition to America?
I left Ghana back when Champion was president.
Oh wow,
November 13th, 1977.
1977. And
Yeah.
what made you move? What brought you here?
My parents came for my brother and I. We were born in Ghana. My parents came to Canada to go to medical school. So after they finished school, they started working, and they brought us here in 1977 to school and just grow up.
Okay. And how was it for you when, someone that's lived in Ghana was born there? How was the transition for you to America?
Initially, it was very, very difficult because at that point in time, the racial tension in America was quite heavy.
Okay.
Um, and coming to school, I mean, I grew up in a country where everybody was black.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden came to a society where there was racial tension, and all of a sudden you were looked at like a second class citizen. So initially, Dad actually banned us from speaking the local language at home. So we
Really?
spoke only English,
Wow.
English only, so that we can actually grasp the total language. And to a point, I myself forgot how to speak the language till I moved back in Ghana in 2009.
Really?
Yes.
And do you think that helped what your dad said? Do you think it helped you in any way?
It helped for us to assimilate to the American life. But on the flip side, it was a disadvantage to the family because I have a younger brother who was born here that doesn't speak anything of the language, can't even understand it. So
Wow.
he's totally lost.
Wow. But do you think that the fact that you are still Ghanaian, still eating Ghanaian food,
Mhm.
does he still appear to be Ghanaian, or do you think that he feels that he's more American?
Oh, he's very much, well, my dad schooled at St. Augustine's. And back in those days, they had a certain level of education. As I'm speaking to you, I've never known my dad to ever eat with his hands.
Really?
He always eat with fork
Fork
and
and
knife
knife.
because that's how he was taught at
Okay.
school. So with that said, my dad is fully Ghanaian to the point his good friend is Professor Danso, who was
Okay.
the ambassador to the all, professor at the same school here
Okay.
in Atlanta. But he's very, very full much Ghanaian.
Hmm.
I travel to Ghana now about 3, 4 times a year just to bring that his delicacy because at 80 something, he always asks for things. Just Palm Sunday, he was asking for apaprensa. So that
Okay.
is fully Ghanaian.
Okay.
And
No,
so
but your brother, does he, since he hasn't really grasped the language, you think that he feels that he's more American than Ghanaian? Does he
well,
still love Ghana as much as you do?
yes, he is because he had a whole he had something I didn't have.
Okay.
He had a traditional Ghanaian wedding with the
Okay.
engagement and everything with the parents. Unlike me, I married an African American, so my tradition was a
A
little bit
bit
different.
different.
It's just that when we go to Ghana, he's a big loss because he doesn't grasp the language. But he loves Ghana.
So how
You know,
important do you think language is?
very important because language actually puts you back to where everything began. And even right now, I mean, I grew up in the Western region. The language that I spoke when I go back home is totally lost.
Yeah.
You hear that now, you don't hear people actually communicate in their local language completely without putting English
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah. It's true.
And so that becomes a little bit of a difficult, society for me to grasp. But I think overall, going back to Ghana and seeing the Ghana that I left after colonialism to now is quite impressive.
Okay. So you moved to Ghana for a little bit.
Yes.
What were you doing, and why did you decide to move back?
Um, it was a learning curve. I moved to Ghana, started a business. With the business was doing very, very well. We were selling food supplements. We imported them from China and was selling them. But majority of my clients were actually Nigerians who come in and buy the supplements in bulk and take it back to Nigeria. And one of them talked me into opening a branch in Nigeria, and that was the beginning to
Of
the
the
end.
end.
Um,
Oh wow.
because the Nigerians were depositing their amounts in Nigeria, and we would send the products to them.
Hmm.
Unbeknownst to me, my partners in Nigeria were the bank president called me from Lagos, Lekki, and told me that, hey, your partners are withdrawing money in
Oh
Port
my
Harcourt.
goodness.
So they were going from bank to bank. So literally within a matter of days, almost back in those days, the Ghana city and the US dollar were 1 to 1. Almost $300,000 went out.
Went out of your account.
Went out.
Oh my
You know,
goodness.
so at some point, it became an issue of survival. So my
Wow.
wife and I came back to regroup and go back.
And you married an African American. How was it for her? Did she feel like a resentment for the continent, or do you think that it, I mean,
No, she's actually more Ghanaian than I am.
okay.
She loves Ghana, the culture, the food, and everything there. Um, the issue was the first time we went to Ghana, I never told her what the country was about. I never told her what to expect. And the first time at the airport, we were standing at the airport, and a Ghanaian lady came and started talking to her in English language, and she didn't move, and she kept talking. So the lady looked at her and said, "What are you? Are you a foreigner? Are you a white person?" And I said, "As a matter of fact, she is. She doesn't understand nothing you were saying." So right away, she felt at home that somebody looked at her and
Yeah,
thought she was one of them.
Ghanaian,
So
yeah.
she right away fell in love, and she actually goes back to Ghana more often than I do.
Wow, that's amazing. So, what are some of the challenges for people in the diaspora who are planning on moving, who are planning on doing business? What are some of the challenges that you would say that they should look out for?
They need to find a local person that they can trust who knows the terrain. One of the things that I didn't know is there were some costs that you couldn't factor into your expenses, like clearing goods at the airport and having to overpay just to get it out. So you need someone who is on the ground that is very, very well versed in doing business in Africa. As doing business in Africa is totally different from doing business abroad. So once you know that and you have the trusted people on the ground, I think it's easy going.
But you can get duped here as well. Doing business in
Oh, very
America is
much so.
also,
Very, very much so.
yeah,
I get emails all the time about people telling me I should do this and all that. And again, even here in Atlanta, in the US, you still must find people who know the
yeah,
area you are doing business. So I wouldn't say it's just an African problem. It's just a problem just everywhere. You have to be locally entrenched into
yeah.
the society to know what you want to do.
Okay. Would you see yourself ever moving back?
Oh, I'm 61 now, and as I get older, my goal is never to spend cold weather anywhere in the world. So Ghana is very much in my future.
Yeah. And what would you say to diasporans who are still living here? A lot of us have skills that need to be going back to the continent. What advice would you give?
I'll give the advice that we need to go back because at the end of the day, look at it in such a way that we all came here to school and to go back. But we've gotten used to lifestyle in the Americas that we look at Africa as an obstacle. Now, the same thing speaks that when we go back to Africa, we should actually, what we've learned, we shouldn't revert back to the way of Africa. A good example would be that driving in Africa doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, I'm driving here, so I should not, the light has turned yellow, I shouldn't stop. We should obey those things and look at what Africa is all about. But I implore everyone to go back. And we do have quite a few friends, African Americans, who are actually very much looking forward to going back to the continent.
And are you seeing people of your age moving back?
Yes.
A lot of them?
Yes, as I'm talking to you right now, I know of at least 5 Jamaican men who actually had never been to Ghana that this year just moved this past spring.
Wow.
moved to Atlanta, living in Community 17 in Tema, and they're enjoying the continent very much.
All right. So I didn't actually introduce yourself. So just say a little bit about yourself and what you do here in Atlanta.
I'm an account manager for Laboratory Corporation of America. I've been working with them now for 6 years, and prior to that, I was my formal education is an office manager for a law firm that I did for over 30 years.
Wow.
So for now, I'm looking forward to retirement as time goes on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you, and you have a wonderful evening.
You too. Guys, thank you so much for joining me on the show. You've heard Henry's short story. It's deeper than that, but we've only got time for, just a short snippet of what he's actually been through. But he is encouraging you, the diaspora, to come back home and move. And guess what? We have the Gooba Diaspora Network, which will help you with that transition or help you with investments that you might want to do in Ghana. See you all soon. Bye bye.